Welcome to Latino Review's first look at Bizarro's Superman. Despite grossing nearly $400 million worldwide, Superman Returns was still apparently considered something of a failure. Bryan Singer's film was intended to resume the franchise in a new era, but instead seems to have done more harm than good. With recent successes such as The Dark Knight and Iron Man, studios are eager to develop more comic book films than ever before, and there's no doubt they will attempt another shot at America's favorite superhero. The only question is, how do you do that successfully? Writer Bob Gordon, known for Galaxy Quest and Men in Black 2, has come up with one unconventional idea: create a Bizarro world on spec, a film based around Bizarro's Superman. Our insider Dr. Strangefist got a first look at Bob's proposed script and has given us the details of this very cool origin story. Bizarro's Superman has been the subject of many comic books and animated series, and was alluded to in Superman 3 when Christopher Reeves battles his opposite Superbad self. The character was also the subject of a classic Seinfeld episode in which Jerry and his friends encounter alternate universe versions of themselves. As the story begins, we are introduced to a scientist named Maze Dalton, who's working on a laser beam that will replicate food to help feed impoverished nations. However, there's a problem when the beam is first tested. In an attempt to replicate a diamond, a walnut is produced instead. When Dalton tries to test the machine a second time, he's distracted by his infant son Spencer and accidentally knocks the laser skyward as it fires. At that moment, the Man of Steel himself happens to be flying by. Superman flies directly into the path of the replicator beam, while Dalton and Spencer watch as a second entity splits off from Superman in midair and drops out of the sky, landing right on the Dalton's house. This new being is dressed like Superman, but the S on his chest is backwards. He is misshapen, monstrous, and wild-eyed. His speech is odd, grammatically incorrect, and saying the opposite of what he means. He believes himself to be Superman and possesses distorted versions of his memories. This is Bizarro's Superman, and he's angry. So angry that he kills Dalton and goes after Superman, who he sees as an imposter and a threat. An epic battle ensues between Superman and Bizarro, which spans the entire galaxy. Superman ultimately wins and casts Bizarro's lifeless body into the Aegean Sea, burying him with a meteor. Cut to 10 years later, we catch up with the old gang at the Daily Planet in Metropolis. Superman has left the Earth to save a distant galaxy from being sucked into a black hole. Lois Lane, frustrated by people's reactions to Superman's absence, decides to take a vacation on the advice of Jimmy Olsen. While touring the Mediterranean, Lois spies a strange fishing vessel at sea and becomes suspicious. Lois' instincts are well-founded because the boat is carrying none other than Superman's former nemesis, General Zod and Ursa. That's right, the General's back, and he's searching for Bizarro's body. Zod needs Bizarro to help him and Ursa recover their lost powers. After retrieving him from his watery grave, Bizarro is set loose to wreak havoc on the world. You see, Bizarro is much like Frankenstein's monster, dangerously strong and hard to control, but he's not evil. In fact, his intentions are usually good. However, though he believes himself to be Superman, he doesn't know his own strength and ends up destroying things and hurting people, even when he tries to do good. The leaders of the world come to see Bizarro as a threat that must be stopped. Meanwhile, Zod has stolen a revamped replicator array from Spencer Dalton, which he uses to convert green kryptonite, Superman's only weakness, into blue kryptonite, the only thing that can kill Bizarro. Zod uses these pieces of blue kryptonite as bargaining chips to manipulate the leaders of the world into handing over the molecule chamber that will restore his and Ursa's powers. Zod's ultimate plan is, of course, to take over the world and install himself as the Emperor of the Earth. When Zod's plans work, he disposes of Bizarro by banishing him to an alternate universe. We won't spoil the rest of the script, but we will say that ultimately there's an epic struggle for power between Zod, Ursa, and Bizarro that creates a reluctant hero out of this misunderstood victim of circumstance, with a little help from the supporting characters of Lois Lane, Jimmy Olsen, and Spencer Dalton. The script overall is light, comedic, and even sort of goofy at times. It kind of feels like a Saturday morning cartoon. There's even a cameo from Krypto, Superman's cape-wearing superpowered dog. Things never seem to get too serious. Despite the mass destruction they cause, Bizarro's misguided attempts at heroism are often funny, and the wicked Zod and Ursa are not as menacing as they were in Superman 2. This breeziness isn't a bad thing. In fact, it's refreshing when so many superhero movies today seem to take a dark path. Even Superman Returns was accused of being too emo, and considering that film's perceived failure, it seems like a new approach is a good idea. Whether or not this approach is the right one remains to be seen. Will audiences go for this bizarre spin-off on the Superman franchise? Will the studios even think it's a good idea? It's difficult to say, but at least it will be amusing if they do. This has been Latino Review's first look at Bizarro Superman.